Joe Biden on Saturday delivering a speech in Warsaw, Poland. Couple of things you should be aware of that I suspect. Some of the stuff was walked back by the White House. Also, keep in mind that the American public and a majority of Republicans and independents, not necessarily Democrats, but the numbers are high for the Democrats too, feel that Joe Biden has not been strong enough in his response to Russia. And so I'm not convinced. Sometimes there are times where you say something publicly, you walk it back so that there's two different messages that are out there.
Yeah.
Joe's too aggressive is one of them.
That's never going to be the message.
No.
I mean, the point, every time there's a Democrat responding to some sort of foreign policy thing, it's always they're too weak.
Yes.
I mean, so I find this to be a fool's errand, and also what he says here to be dangerous.
Absolutely. Here's Joe Biden in Warsaw.
They stood for solidarity here in Poland, and together it was an unmistakable and undeniable force of the people that the Soviet Union could not withstand. And we're seeing it once again today with the brave Ukrainian people showing that their power of many is greater than the will of any one dictator. So in this hour, let the words of Pope John Paul burn as brightly today. Never, ever give up hope. Never doubt. Never tire. Never become discouraged. Be not afraid. A dictator bent on rebuilding an empire will never erase a people's love for liberty. Brutality will never grind down their will to be free. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia, for free people refuse to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principles, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. God bless you all, and may God defend our freedom.
Yeah, that's not a good thing to say when you're supposed to be brokering negotiations for peace in order to save Ukrainian lives, and just lives in general. Honestly.
Here is the question. I mean, there's multiple questions. Without a doubt, this is a bad idea to say this, as far as I'm concerned, too. I mean, because like you say, it gives Putin a new pivot point as to, it gives Putin, if the Biden administration, NATO, whomever, the West genuinely wants Putin out, that does not help their case. I mean, that does not, no. Because you do not want Putin to have any type of rallying around him by his domestic critics. And his argument, of course, is this is all made up by the West. This is the West encroachment, et cetera, et cetera. And you don't want Biden to give him the proof of that.
And it's one thing for Lindsey Graham to say it. It's another thing for Biden to say it.
Exactly.
Which is why, I mean, the White House is saying, oh, this was off the cuff. I have no idea if that's true or not. Either way, it was stupid as hell.
Well, that's the thing, is that you get... And it's quite possible, let's put it this way. It's quite possible that Biden was just freelancing. For God's sakes, we got to get this guy, out of the country.
That tracks with him.
That tracks. It doesn't, it's hard. But it's also quite possible that, he knows his polling is down. People want him to be more aggressive with Russia, and that this is my sentiment, but I didn't mean to say it. Who knows?
But that's the limits of those kinds of things, right? One, see how easily he's able to just slip into, I'm going to promote regime change easily, right? That's just the way that our government perceives these things. But two, that's the limits of looking of popularism or looking at polling for these kinds of things, because. No, I've liked the way that he's approached diplomacy, and it seems like they're trying to broker diplomacy behind the scenes thus far. But doing that to appease some imagined constituency, I think, domestically, it's dangerous.